Before we go much further, just a quick little footnote. I have filmed this section 4 times. The aspect ratio of my camera somehow got changed. I didn't do it, but I have worked through 4 different fixes and hope that this will create a screen that you can open and fill on YouTube. So that said, I have literally lost my train of thought from what I said in the introductory pieces of this video I'm sending you, but so I will just talk. As I said in the emails, I have taken 4 online classes from Anita Lehman and 2 in-person classes with her in Seattle, and I really admire her style, her way of working, and trying to infuse some of that in my own. I think her style is clean. I think it's strong. I think it's simplified, which is really where I want to go with you guys. What we're going to talk about during the next couple of weeks is composition and design. I know that I bring that up each year with you, but composition and design are just the bones of what we do. We can learn about color, value, texture, line, shape, all of those design elements through the course of our career of painting. And we do, and we will. So this is going to be just quickly a review for some of you, and for a couple of you, maybe an introduction of how we get the bones of good composition and design and mixing of color and using our tools and materials. So that said, with one of the lessons with Anita, she had us just do brush work with the brushes you have. You don't have to go out and buy anything, but these are some of the brushes I use to do the marks that are on this page. This is on hot press, which is becoming my favored watercolor paper. This brush is my newest brush. It's an Alvaro Castanet that has a broad bulb part near the ferrule and goes down to a nice point, very nice point. This is my most expensive brush in all of my brushes. I'll show you in some water. Look at the fine point that it makes. It's just amazing. And so I'm going to be showing you some demonstrations with these. This, for example, is done with this brush, and it makes lovely trees in a distance for one thing, and it makes very nice dramatic lines in other places. So that's a thing you can do. This whole first lesson in watercolors for us is kind of getting you out of the hiatus mode and back in the groove of painting. So take it with a grain of salt. Some of you have been painting so long, but you may have gotten a little bit rusty, as I did. And then just to reawaken some things that you already know. This is on cold press watercolor paper, good paper, and it is a value guide with 9 or 10 values here, and I used indigo in various strengths to get that. And what that will do is help me decide on values that I might need in colors. I think of these in the middle as midtones, certainly, and these as my darkest values. You never know how dark you can go until you do this kind of a value scale, and all the way down to the white of the paper. This one actually has just a glaze of the color, and then it ascends or descends as you see it. An exercise that Anita had us do was to score off. This is cold press and this is hot press. This is about 1/8 of a sheet of a full sheet of watercolor paper. And to do this kind of an exercise, I suggest you do it on relatively good paper so that you can see how the paints act and react. On the cold press, this is a graded wash of just indigo. And this was the merging of 2 colors in a blended wash, and that's quite self-revealing. And this is a wet and wet, and this is dry brush. This is first having some stripes of the blue and letting it dry, and then doing the stripes of the orange, the complement, so that you could see that although I've put color over the blue retains some of its integrity. So there's my little gingham plaid sample. This is just spattering and how it acts and reacts on cold press. These are the same as these, but on hot press. And for me, I much prefer the hot press. I'm migrating toward that, really. I love the texture of cold press for some things, but because I'm working more and more in mixed media, hot press seems to take all the various mediums like inks and pastels, because it doesn't have the bumps on it. It's smooth. It's an acquired taste, let's put it that way. Either is just wonderful, and some of the best watercolor works are on cold press, but I like hot press. These were, I'm going to just go through these. These are some of the exercises I have done with Anita, and I'm just showing them today to show you the simple way to just go back into painting with watercolors that some of you A, might have forgotten, or B, are just starting to learn. As we had done in class back before the lockdown, I have scored off my larger pieces of paper to do these different exercises. The fun one I'll show you first are these skies, which is taking these smaller 3.5 to 4 inch samples and doing them in skies to show just a graded wash, a more energized brush, wet and wet, the mingling of colors, and a high key palette. This is kind of a stormy sky, and some of the places did not get wet, so that really gives me some opportunity to have hard edges. This is another kind of neutralized wash and graded wash. And then this is just another wet and wet to create some energy. So that's that. We might do something later with these skies as background. They could be a background for a still life or an animal photo, a picture. I could see a crow on one of these, or a pot of flowers, whatever. But anyway, this is a really good exercise in learning some control. And this, my piece here is on hot press, and I tape it off with masking tape here on my table. We're going to look again, as we have in the past, with color. I wanted to show you just since I've filmed this so many times, I've moved my tools around, but I will show you these. I have 3 kind of yellows. I'm using raw sienna as kind of an earth tone, quin gold as a warm yellow, and lemon yellow as a cool yellow. You can use whatever you find in your kit. I'm not asking you to go buy new colors. Some of you might use New Gamboge, which is a great warm yellow, or Indian yellow, but this is what I'm going to use for our exercises during this block of lessons. I have those 3 in the yellow family. I have Cad Red Light, or if you have Vermilion or well, those 2. Cad Red Light is a warm red. Quinacridone Rose is a cool red, or you could use Permanent Rose if that's what you have. And Alizarin Crimson is a cool red also, but darker in value. I love that. My blues are Ultramarine Blue, which is a warm blue, and Cerulean Blue can be interpreted as a cool blue or a neutral blue, but it's a very useful color in watercolors. Indigo is what's creating some of my darks that I showed you in my monochromatic studies, and it's a great dark staining blue. I'm adding to my palette, so I have 10 colors here. I'm adding to my palette neutral tint because I really like strong values, and I can put neutral tint with pretty much all of these colors, and the color will be retained somewhat and not look flat, but it does darken the value of the colors I am using. Anita had us do these triangles with cool, let's say that's Perm Rose or Quin Rose, and this is the lemon yellow or Aurelian, and this I use the cerulean as the cool, and to make the triangle and blend these so that you get 6 of the mixed colors in a cool palette. I used my warm colors, that's Quin Gold, that's the Cad Red, and this is the Ultramarine Blue, and was able to get these mixed colors on the triangle. And of course you can go between and make varying shades of X. I've been using several different sketchbooks during the hiatus. I find that that's a good thing. This one I got at Tri-D, and I like it for the size 6 by 12 because I can do a lot of different things with it. I've been making more sketches of my my wanderings. As some of you know, I've been doing a lot of hiking and kayaking, and so I take pictures and then I simplify by doing these little ink drawings, making sure I put them within the boundaries of a square, because I've been painting a lot in square. So I've been using this for my I've been using these for my acrylics, and I have another bigger one that I've been collaging in, but I also got some stencils that I've been using, and these are just to show what the stencils look like in their raw state. And so anyway, I find that it's good for me to have several different sketchbooks that respond to several different functions of the work I've been doing. So after we did those little studies of color and how the paint works and how your brushes work, these were some quick exercises. This is taking a half sheet, which is this size, and taping them off this way. They end up being about 7 inches by 7 inches, because that's 22 inches across. And so the goal here was to just do some very simplistic trees and do an analogous palette, a warm autumn palette, because I did these back in like September, October. And then this is using two complements, the blues and the oranges. So these little studies are quick, and they teach you a lot because you go from light to middle to dark. And an old person like me has learned a lot of new tricks, and I hope to share those with you. But that's how I work with that. We had to do a monochromatic one, and this one happens to be the one, excuse me, that I did on cold press. I like it. It's wet and wet, and it stayed wet. I didn't go in and do hard edges, but here's one of those skies again, and ways to mix up the exercises. My goal in the next week or so is to make another quick video of an actual demonstration. This is kind of a reintroduction video. So my goal is to have us do some landscapes like this, with what we learned from all of these. And for me, during the summer and the fall, I've been doing way more abstracts. So I am loving doing abstracts. In fact, I really am enjoying it, and I'm taking a couple more online paid for classes in doing abstracts. So you can see that these two are from very similar palettes, and that's what this series is kind of about, to the extent that you can choose to just say your series is about color and about using and manipulating a very limited palette and doing different things with it. So I am going to fit this section of my video in with my introductory little clips that I did and send this to you today.